Hi, welcome to another episode of Straight Lions Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions as usual. And we're going to talk about the debacle that was the Arizona Cardinals Detroit Lions game Sunday. We're going to change things up a little bit today. We're not going to talk too much about the game. We'll open up with it and have some thoughts on what we thought happened. And it was just a mess. We all saw it was a debacle. It's just a bad season right now for the Lions. It's not all where this show thought it was going. Projections are way off. How people were going to perform during the year way off. But we're going to cover that and get into some of that. Also, we're going to change things up. Like I said, we're going to break it into 4 subjects that we think is the problem with the Detroit Lions. And we're also going to cover the Bears coming into this next week on Sunday. So I'd like to start by saying I appreciate all the new viewers, all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the positive comments we've gotten. If you guys want to follow us, it's at Straight Lions Talk on Twitter. It's STR Lions Talk. It's also the same address on YouTube, Straight Lions Talk, STR Lions Talk. We're going to open up today with the Detroit Lions Arizona Cardinal game. There's really not a lot to say about that game. It was an utter disaster. It was reminiscent of 2008. I never thought we would see the Lions in that situation again, especially not this year. I never saw us just getting absolutely handled the way we were handled by the Arizona Cardinals. Matthew Stafford looked absolutely horrid. The offense was predictable as usual. There was no running game. Calvin Johnson was totally ineffective. Golden Tate looked like he was having a pout out there the whole time. Didn't look like he was into it. We tweeted about it during the game, something to watch out for. And he admitted later he wasn't into it. I don't know where to go from here with the Lions. I don't know what to say. I'm worried about the Bears game this week. I don't think we're a better coach team than the Bears, and at this point, I don't think we're a more confident team than the Bears. But for the Arizona game, we had the ball like double the time they did. We had more yards, almost double than they did. And they just destroyed us. They made Chris Johnson look like Chris Johnson of old. Only the Lions could have made that happen. We let Andre Allen run a 63-yard touchdown back. Carson Palmer carved us up. Didn't even play the fourth quarter. We benched Matthew Stafford. We're good into that. The offense was so predictable. Again, at the end of the game, another team said they knew every single play that was coming. And all Jim Caldwell says is there's no new plays. Everything's been done before. Every team knows every team's play. Well, then how come you couldn't stop Arizona the way they stopped us? Now, we racked up a decent amount of yards, but we threw it 900 times. I mean, we set a record, actually. We tied a record for 70 pass attempts in a game that was tied with the Patriots from a few years ago. So I guess that's another record the Lions have on their resume of poor play. The funniest part about this is I heard some other people. I heard Mike Payton. He's a sideline report. Excuse me, Detroit Lions sideline report. And also Sean Belizean, he's at the 961, ESPN 961 here in town. Those two were on the radio talking, and they commented that they weren't even mad during the game. And that's hilarious they said that because I felt the same way. I wasn't even mad. I don't know how you guys felt out there, but I wasn't even upset. It was just, you just stand there in awe and think, what's next? And I think that's just the culture that's been bred into us as Lions fans. I know I talk on this show, we're not going to say same old Lions, and we're not going to. It's just, what will it be next, I guess is the way to say it now. What will it be next? What's going to happen next? So this week it's going to be the Bears. I don't know what amazing, impossible NFL thing that you've never seen before is going to happen, but I'm sure there'll be one. Maybe it'll be the Lions winning a game. This is the 8th time they've started 0-8 and been the only team in the NFL to start the season. It's the only team in the NFL to start the season 0-8 for 8 seasons. So that's a record also, something to be proud of, to start the season. The last winless team, I should say. They're the last winless team for the 8th time in franchise history, which is an NFL record. So I guess there's some positive things to build on right there for the Lions. If I'm acting like I'm at a loss for words, it's because I am. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know how to talk about it because it was just a dismal performance. We benched Matthew Stafford, which I thought was a terrible mistake by Jim Caldwell in that situation. Now, if you wanted to bench him in the fourth quarter, fine. But with 8 minutes left in the third, I thought it was a bad decision by Caldwell. I don't know if Matt Stafford and him can recover from that happening the way it did. I didn't think it was fair because no one else got benched. I understand he's the quarterback and he needs to be more responsible with the ball. And he made some terrible throws. He made a throw that was very similar to the one he made in Dallas. People argued with me that it wasn't the same throw, which I kind of thought it was. It was the first interception he threw to Tim Wright. If you look at the overhead view of that play, Tim Wright is wide open if he catches that ball. There is no one there really to get him. It's probably a 30-yard, 40-yard gain for Tim Wright if that ball is placed in the wrong spot. And that was reminiscent of the Pettigrew throw that ended up with that controversy, of course, with the Lions, that it was an interception, or it was pass interference, and then it wasn't pass interference, and we all know how that turned out. But that throw also was a throw where Stafford threw it on a line, basically at the receiver, running away from the defender, so the receiver had to turn around and try to come back for the ball. In the Dallas game, it was interference, as we all know, but in the Arizona game, the guy picked it off. But my point is, if you look at both of those throws, if Stafford throws that ball where it should be thrown, the Tim Wright ball, if he throws it to the left and over the defender, Tim Wright runs with it. He has the receiver beat by a couple, or the defender beat by a couple yards. Same with Pettigrew. He had the linebacker beat if Stafford throws that ball out in front of him so he can go get it. But it's just more things that Stafford needs to work on. He's not the most accurate quarterback, and some of his decision-making is terrible. I think sometimes he thinks he can just dart the ball in there and instead of just lofting it up in there. I don't know. But it's going bad fast, and I don't know where to take it from there. But that's going to bring us into our next subject. Our next subject is Martha Ford. Is she really the owner of the team? Is she really calling all the signals for the Detroit Lions? Is she making all the decisions? Really, a 90-year-old woman that inherited the team from her husband? I don't know how much day-to-day knowledge she had of the team throughout their marriage. I guess I put it to you this way. Whatever gender your boss is at work, would you want their 90-year-old spouse to come in and run your business that they have never shown up for and you hardly ever saw? Would that really inspire you with confidence if you were a fan of that particular organization or company? I don't think so, and that doesn't inspire me. From everything I've read and everything I've heard, that she is in charge. She's running the show. Now, I'm sure she has some people working under her, but I don't have extreme confidence in Martha Ford running, a 90-year-old Martha Ford running the organization. When she was asked, do you know any of the players on the team? And she said, yeah, I know Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford. And the person asked, what position do they play? And she said, I know Matthew Stafford plays quarterback and Calvin Johnson plays linebacker. That's enough said. And then Jim Caldwell comes out after the game and says that the Fords are disappointed, obviously, in the performance of the team as an 0-5 start after all the expectations. And he says Martha Ford is very disappointed in them, too. So is he just saying that to give her credit where credit's not due? I just got a feeling there's not a lot of checks and balances within the organization at this point. I think Martin Mayhew, Tom Lawand, and Jim Caldwell are allowed to kind of do whatever they want, and there's really no one there demanding a higher product on the field and a higher performance from their players. I don't think there's any leadership at the top is where I'm trying to go with this. There's no leadership at the top of the organization, as probably everyone will say there never has been. But the fact of the matter is, this is for real this time. Reports are out. They talked to Ford Jr., and he said that he has less to do with the team this year than at any point in the previous years. So is Martha Ford really in charge? I guess that's what we're trying to understand here. Is she really honestly in charge? Is she the one making the calls? If that's the case, this is not going anywhere good for a long time. And I got to say, shame on you, Junior. I understand you're trying to be respectful to your parents, your elders, and that is a good quality. But the fact of the matter is your mother should have enough wherewithal to not think she has the ability at 90 years old to run this team. It's a cute little story to see a picture of Martha Ford. Oh, 90-year-old Martha Firestone Ford is running the Lions. But if that is true, it's kind of like having a substitute teacher when you were in high school. You're going to run amok. And I think the Lions are running amok. There's no one there to tell Jim Caldwell, You need to do something with this offense. This offense needs to be better. Or tell Martin Mayhew to tell Jim Caldwell that. There's no one there for accountability at the top, to make those people be accountable at the top. The top needs to make people accountable. That's what leadership does. They make people below them accountable that work for them. You have to be accountable in your position and perform, or you're going to be gone. That needs to be the mantra of this new regime for the Fords. And if Martha Ford's what's going on, I don't know where we go from there. If it's going to be that way for the next 4 or 5 years, God willing, for her to be alive that long, and she's actually running things, it's not going to be great. Because is she going to make the next coaching hire? I mean, I highly doubt it, but who is the one working for her? Tom Lalonde? Is he the one that is running things for the most part? I know he's the president, but he's not the owner. The owner needs to lead from the front, just like Robert Kraft does, just like a lot of the other owners do in the NFL, the Steelers owners, everyone else that leads from the top. The most successful organizations lead from the top. And that's not happening here with the Lions, obviously. Our next subject is going to be on who is to blame for this on the coaching staff and the player-wise. Who is this? We've seen a lot of finger-pointing going on. We've seen a lot of things said from news media and things like that. And who is it? Is it Caldwell? Is it Lombardi? Is it Stafford? Is it Terrell Austin? Who is the problem with this team? What has happened? We went from 11-5 with a dominant defense. I understand we lost Sue, but the fact of the matter is I can't believe Sue was that big of a factor in Detroit when he's not even a factor on what he called a more talented team in Miami, or the most talented team he's ever been on defensively since he's been in the NFL in Miami, and they're a train wreck waiting to happen. They've already had their coach fired. So if that's why we're bad on defense, and if that's why the organization is winless at this point, I have a hard time believing that. And along with Nick Fairley, too. I can't believe those two together. Now, are those two together better than what we have now? Obviously. But the fact of the matter is, everyone else is back. Ezekiel Ansell's having a big year. He's one of the leaders in sacks this season. But he's dinged up. He can't seem to play a whole game. I just don't know where the answers are. Defensively, we were terrible. We were a terrible defense. We gave up a lot of runs. We made Chris Johnson look like the old Chris Johnson. And I think the team quit. I honestly do. I think the team quit on Jim Caldwell. And reports are this team didn't quit on Caldwell. But what are the players going to say? Are they going to really come out and be like, yeah, we quit. We don't want to go play for him anymore? Well, if it gets bad enough, they might say that. But at this point, they're not going to say that. They're all professionals. They don't want to be labeled as that guy that quit. They're not ever going to do that. There's too much money involved. So I personally feel, I don't know how you guys feel, I thought I saw him quit. I thought I saw Golden Tate quit. I thought I saw Matt Stafford quit. I think Kelvin Johnson was extremely frustrated. I know he's trying to rare to get back in the game, but I don't think he really did. I think he just kind of wanted to give it that show, like I really want to go in. The defense didn't really react. There's no spunk to it. And that's where I get with Caldwell. I mean, what makes me mad is when we hired Caldwell, I was mad we hired Caldwell, extremely mad. I mean, I kind of had a fit and fell in it about the subject of hiring Jim Caldwell. And I didn't like it, and I wasn't a fan of it. I wasn't even excited when preseason came around. I wasn't excited when the regular season started. And then, you sit and watch the games, obviously, because you finally get over it, and you're going to watch. Even though you say you're not going to watch, you're going to watch. I watched, and, you could see how some of his calmness and his maturity, I guess is a better word, rubbed off on the team, and they seemed to be a little bit more aware of situations, not doing dumb things. The penalties were down. And Stafford did look better, and that was what he was honestly brought here for, was to clean up some of the mechanical problems Stafford had in his throwing motion and some of the decision-making he did. And they did do that. His footwork's better. He does look better mechanically than he did when he was throwing everything sidearm a few years ago. But I still have my reservations with Caldwell. Even after the season, I told friends, what about Caldwell? Oh, I thought you said he was going to be terrible. I was like, I'm still not a huge fan, but what are you going to do? I mean, he had a good season, but I think Jim Caldwell has a lot of accountability at this point. I think he holds a lot of cards here, On the problem maybe with this team, I think they're maybe a little bit too complacent. They just don't have any fire ever, and that might be from their head coach. I know he's stoic, and he never changes his expression. You can't tell if they scored a touchdown or they threw an interception. Great. The fact of the matter is that's cool when you win with it. The other part of it is not cool is when you lose, and then that is interpreted as not being a fiery guy, not being into the game, and all that. And he never gives out any information. We lost DeAndre Levy this week. So a lot of bad has happened so far this season for the Lions, and it just seems to be getting worse. Now, Martin Mayhew, on the other hand, there's blame here for Martin Mayhew. There's no doubt about that. Martin Mayhew has a lot of blame go around right now. His drafts haven't been working out. I don't blame him for his drafts. This last one was a little goofy. It's probably the goofiest one of the bunch he's had. But the other drafts, I understood what he was trying to do in those situations. One thing that kind of drives me nuts is when people say, well, if you go back and look at those drafts and all the players we missed on and we should have drafted, well, you could do that in every round. You could find one guy that worked for another team, and we should have taken him. Like, for instance, people are saying we should have taken Randall Cobb instead of Titus Young. In hindsight, yes, we probably should have in that draft. But the fact of the matter is Titus Young was a productive player. People were excited about him the year he went crazy and flew off the handle and was kicked out of the team and kicked out of the NFL, and now he's in jail. So I don't see how Martin Mayhew was supposed to know that was going to come. I understand he had some problems in college, and it's his job, so it falls back on him. But Titus Young was a productive player. Again, with Javid Best, he took a risk on what was an injured player in college with concussion problems, hoping that he'd be done with those issues, and it didn't work out. But when he was on the field, he was highly productive. He was a difference maker. He made the Lions better. Mikel LaShore, we'll never know how good he was. He kind of had a decent year. One year had 700 or 800 yards or something rushing. But we'll never know. The Achilles injury seemed to do a lot to hurt him, and didn't have the speed and the agility he had coming out of college, because we all saw him play at Illinois, I'm sure. And, I mean, it didn't work out. But I understood where Martin Mayhew was going with a lot of the picks and what he was trying to do. They just didn't work out. The Ryan Broyles one made me shake my head, but that was working until he got hurt multiple times as he got into the pros. The injury in college affected him a little bit, but it was the multiple injuries he had in the pros, the torn Achilles, the other knee that went out, that really slowed his progress and development. But he would have been a top 20 pick if he wouldn't have gotten hurt in college. He was NCAA record holder for receiving, and he was on a highly potent offense that ran similar offense that we do. So it worked out. It was a good pick at the time for the Lions. I'm just saying. And, you know, we all know about Joe Lombardi and his issues too. Right now, that's not meshing well. So between Caldwell, Mayhew, Stafford, all those guys, I don't know where we're going to go with this, but all I do know is Joe Lombardi, you can blame Mayhew for the picks. Yep, he should be getting some more of those right. That is killing us right now. He's found some gems. He's found some free agents. But the fact of the matter is, his picks that didn't work out in the first and second rounds are killing the Lions right now, because those are much needed to develop picks that need to be successful for the franchise to have success down the road. But Joe Lombardi, on the other hand, has seemed to make a lot of the offensive players worse. I mean, if you go look at Brandon Pettigrew's stats, now I've dogged Brandon Pettigrew a ton also. He was a 40 to 80 catch guy almost every year. Somewhere in that range he would catch. He averages about 10 yards a catch for his career. And he would have 5 to 10 touchdowns since he was drafted. And the last 2 years, he is just a blocking tight end. He's paid as a top 15 tight end, and we've had him just blocking. He's Dan Campbell a few years ago. Are you freaking kidding me? He has made him obsolete. He doesn't even go out in pass patterns hardly. His only catches came last week. I understand he's been injured for most of the season, but last year I think he had 10 catches. Are you freaking kidding me? A guy that catches 40 to whatever many balls has 10. He's had some drop issues. I understand that. No one dogged him more for it than me. But the fact of the matter is, we made Brandon Pettigrew just a nobody player, just an average blocking tight end in the league. We made him into Ben Watson or something. I don't understand the whole theory behind that, but we did that. Matthew Stafford. Now, last year they reined him in and controlled him a little bit more, and they didn't let him get so wild with all the throws. And I understood what they were trying to do there, and I was excited when the season started, as we talked about in some previous videos. But I don't know what they're trying to do with him. I don't know what the ultimate goal for him is, because he seems to be regressing, and regressing extremely fast. I mean, this guy was a guy that was highly productive with Scott Linehan. I mean, he threw a lot of picks, but that's what you're going to get with Matt Stafford. I mean, you just are. He's going to throw a lot of picks. It's just his nature. And now doubts are creeping in. Is Matt Stafford going to be a Lion? So I can't believe it's went from there to from what it was to what it is now in 2 seasons under Lombardi. 2 years in a row, we have not had a running game at all. It's just not there. I think we average 2.5 yards a carry now. 2.5 yards a carry? Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. We've taken a player that shows like he has a lot of athletic ability and ability to run between the tackles and a lot of speed and everything we wanted when we drafted Amir Abdullah, and what he showed in the preseason a couple games, in the first half of the San Diego game, he's a non-factor. He can't get running lanes. The offensive line doesn't know where they're blocking. From every report we read every week, every player knows where every play is coming. If you watch that interception that Corey Redding has, a former Lion, he just stands there. He doesn't even go after Stafford. He just stands there and waits for the ball. Now, that was a terrible decision on Stafford to try to throw it over him, but the fact of the matter is they know every play that's coming. It's ridiculous, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why Jim Caldwell will not make Joe Lombardi at least go to the box like he should have last week. And now, coming out this week, Jim Caldwell said he is not doing any changes to his coaching staff. He's not making any adjustments. Things are going to stay the same. Well, I guess I would too. Joe Lombardi's sets are all standard. Every set is different from every play. I think that's part of the problem. We never run a different play out of the same set. It's always the same. No one comes in motion. And I think it's just hampering Stafford. It's a predictable offense. And I think when I mean predictable, I think they know exactly what play is coming. Not, oh, it could be a run, prepare for it, oh, we screwed up. No, there's no audibles, there's no check with me's, there's no nothing. It's the same old every play, and it's not productive. He hasn't been productive. We've made Riley Reif ineffective. He was a decent offensive tackle. He was okay. He was probably middle of the pack. I'm not saying he was all pro. I'm not saying he was everything, but he was efficient as a left tackle in the NFL. Larry Warford looked like he had a ton of promise. Travis Swanson, great college player. Now, just because you're a great college player doesn't mean you're always going to translate. But the fact of the matter is, Larry Warford had a great rookie season his rookie year, was a bulldozer in run blocking, and he is just a non-factor. He misses blocks. We've made Lucas worse. Which I'm not a fan of Lucas. He is terrible. But the facts are, no one's doing better. No one. Calvin Johnson's regressing the last 2 years. Calvin Johnson. And Lombardi comes out and says he doesn't know how to use them. I don't think it's that hard to figure out. So, where does the blame lie? In those 3-4 guys? I don't know. I don't know. Our next subject we're going to cover is playing time for players that have shown some multitude of success in this what is abysmal season for the Lions. We like Theo Riddick. I think Theo Riddick deserves to be the Lions' starting running back. He's just been productive. He looks productive. He looks the part. He's the most effective runner and most effective pass catcher out of the backfield we have. Sorry, Amir. Theo Riddick's the best one, and he should get some playing time. And as we talked about on this show, the player we like coming out of the preseason was T.J. Jones, and he has been showing off some amazing athletic ability and some game-breaking speed and big play ability coming back or returning punts. So, are they going to give him a shot to play a little bit more? Lance Moore's not doing anything, so why don't you throw T.J. Jones in there? We're 0-5. Give him a shot. Maybe he'll be a spark. Maybe he'll break a couple. He looks like it every time. He's a big play waiting to happen. It just seems like he sees beyond the first defender into the second defender, whether it's on punt returns, kick returns, or when he's playing receiver. He's shifty over the middle. I just really like his skill set, and I think he deserves a little more playing time. And if you guys seen him return punts, I think you can kind of see the athletic ability and the big play ability. when he's returning the kick. So, I think those two players, Theo Riddick and T.J. Jones, need more playing time. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bear game coming up. I thought this was a sure beat-down win for the Lions, an easy week, nothing to worry about, and now I'm worried we're going to lose the game. It's such a shame that people are talking about we have to win this game or we could go 0-16 again. I don't think that's going to happen because we're a bad team, but we're not a terribly historic bad team like we were in 08. Gosh dang, man. I don't know what's going to happen with the Bears. I think the Bears are a better coach team than the Lions at this point. I think they're a more fundamental team. I think they have a better running back. They have the leading rusher in the league. I think their offense is playing at a more productive rate than the Lions' offense is by far, which is not hard to do. I don't think the team has a lot of confidence in Jim Caldwell. I know the team doesn't have a lot of confidence in Joe Lombardi. I think it's going to be a close game. I honestly think the Bears are going to win this game. I really do. As much as it irks me to say that out loud, I don't see the Lions winning this game. I think the Bears are going to win this game. I think the talk's going to start 0-16, which is such a shame that it goes there because we're the only team to do it, and automatically it starts, are the Lions going to go 0-16? And it could be a while before a win. I could see the win being week 9. It's going to be embarrassing to play on Thanksgiving. We play the Eagles. That could be just a beat down from the Eagles too. Yeah. So I don't know where to stand with this game. We tried to make predictions. We've been wrong. We thought we'd be 17-10 last week from the performance they had in Seattle. It ended up being just a 42-17 blowout, and it wasn't really even 17 points close. And the fact that we scored 17 points, it was more of a miracle we did that. We like the Bears. I think the Bears are going to win. I think they're a better coach team. I don't think this team believes in Caldwell. I think this team has quit. I hope they prove me wrong, and I hope the Lions come out victorious. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.